This was just right next to the trailhead. Real nasty plant. It's got such nice flowers. Gotta admire those. This, of course, is autumn olive, showing its umbels of flowers, hence the Latin name, Elaeagnus umbellata. Real pretty, unfortunately. This is a big one here. Okay, so this is one of my favorite trees. Just individual trees and pretty cool species too. This, hopefully you can tell looking at the bark, this is chinkapin oak. See that real peely, flaky bark there. I don't want to damage the tree. And not so evident today, but got kind of a yellow in the bark. Pretty good identifying characteristic. And you can see that peeliness just goes all the way up. Hard to see there in the shadow. Yeah, whereas white oak would be shaggy up there. Chinkapin oak, still pretty peely. Now the sun's coming out. You can see that yellow a little bit better in there. Very long-lived tree. Not always, of course. These can grow up to 400 years old. In fact, I believe the oldest known chinkapin oak occurred in, of all places, the Guadalupe Mountains. And it was cord and it was 426 years old. And we are actually on the trail now. And I just stumbled upon a very conservative and vulnerable federally listed plant species. Pretty good indicator of an undisturbed, high quality natural area. And that is golden seal. Hydrastis canadensis. There it is there. I think it just finished flowering. Unfortunately, want to see those pretty flowers. But I found another one of those golden seals. This one is actually flowering. A little windy right now. This is kind of a weird plant that you find kind of frequently in the Illinois Ozarks. This is Epiphagus virginiana, also known as the beach drops. Can't tell right now because it's just senescent, but there's no chlorophyll in this plant. When it springs up, these are kind of white, silver purpley, and it doesn't have chlorophyll, so it doesn't photosynthesize. And that's because it's an epiphyte, parasitic plant that steals all of its resources from a host plant. And again, those are called beach drops, Epiphagus, so you can probably guess what the host plant is. Beech trees. See those there? Cigar buds. Beech drops just steal nutrients, water, everything from the roots of the beech trees there. And little nicks in them, it just kind of forces its way in. kind of a cool plant, I think. And a pretty one too, for a parasite. About to find your KCE that's over here. I was talking about. Here's the first one I'll stop at. See, kind of see little stems and clumps through here. This is a vaccinium. This is Vaccidium pallidum, also known as hillside blueberry. Vaccinium, of course, the genus that's got farkleberry, sparkleberry, Vaccinium arboreum. This doesn't get nearly as big. Farkleberry, this one right there. Farkleberry is a small tree. It's a shrub. Very distinct, peely, round bark. Nice, rich red color. And of course, these do produce blueberries. Typical blueberry plants. You know, like get blueberries from the store. They come from a vaccinium. Not this species, but relative. Kind of an easy one to identify in the winter because all year round it's got these stems that are green all the way down to the ground there. It's an Ericaceae, so it's an indicator of acidic soils, which probably developed partially because of all this leaf litter. All this oak leaf litter that's here. Tend to see this one. Here's another one on these drier ridge tops, not down below. More of it there. Short little woody shrub, I guess you'll call it. Doesn't get too big. Interesting plant. Come back here in June, you'll see it flowering. You'll see those blueberries starting to develop. I mentioned there were 3 Ericaceae shrubs, woody plants that occur here. I mentioned the 2 vacciniums. There's the hillside blueberry right there. Base of this black oak. Here's the 3rd one. This is Rhododendron Prinophyllum. Early azalea or just wild azalea. Typically, you think of this as an Appalachian species, but it's kind of got 2 distinct, well, I guess core ranges. Got one in the Appalachian and one in the Ozarks. And our azaleas here are just kind of come in from the Ozarks on the east side. Yeah, you're only going to find these in the Illinois Ozarks. They don't go too far east from here. Not too far from the river. You go over to the Pine Hills, about 5 miles west of here, you'll find these grown under shortleaf pine. This is probably the last tree I'll show you. It's one of my favorites that occurs out here. It's one of the reasons I think the Ozark Hills are so special. Focus there. This is Magnolia acuminata. also known as cucumber tree or the cucumber magnolia. This is another one of those, like the rhododendron, Appalachian species primarily. Try and get a twig down here. And it produces these very, very large leaves, like magnolias often do. And this one, I don't think it's quite big enough to flower, but magnolias produce these weird little fruits. And when the cucumber tree, magnolias, fruit specifically, when they're unripened, they resemble kind of a cucumber, kind of a weird little shape. Yeah, again, one of those species you're only going to find in Illinois, at least, over here in the Illinois Ozarks, in those deep loessl soils that can support these eastern Appalachian species that require lots of moisture, lots of nutrients, very rich sites. These are pretty common if you go out east, but they're considered rare in Illinois. Okay, we're back at the trailhead now, and that's about all I got for you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you feel like going on a real hike now. Bye-bye.